crossing our southern border. The president says it's time for the government of Mexico to act responsibly, to stop encouraging and helping illegal immigrants reach our border and then cross it.
It's a horrible situation, and Mexico could stop it. We're not going to give them hundreds of billions of dollars and tell them that they're not going to use their strong immigration laws to help the United States. So there's a very good likelihood that I'll be closing the border next week, and that'll be just fine with me.
The president's threat comes as the Department of Homeland Security has been reduced to saying the border is being overrun. The Border Patrol unable to do its job despite the president's national emergency declaration and calling up the U.S. military to back up the Border Patrol. DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen is flailing, and her department appears utterly paralyzed under ineffectual leadership. So desperate that she's trying to raise, it seems, a posse of DHS employee volunteers to help secure the border. And the Border Patrol responding to the border crisis by releasing illegal immigrants onto American streets. Are they also dumping deadly drugs at the same time? Sex traffickers have wide open access to the United States. The cartels, frankly, are winning. The CPB's head commissioner, Kevin McAleenan, is actually whining instead of acting and crying out for congressional help of all things. Commissioner, Congress is the problem, not the solution. Tonight, we're calling on the president to fire these incompetents in the leadership of the Department of Homeland Security and Customs Border Protection. They can't act effectively. They can't create. They can't innovate. They only react and then only to call on Congress. That, along with Bush and Obama, of course, created this crisis in the first place. Customs and Border Protection has become little more than a welcome wagon service for the cartel's sex trafficking, its deadly drug running, and illegal immigrant smuggling across our southern border with Mexico, while tens of thousands of Americans are dying. These border officials should hang their heads in shame, and they should be fired for endangering the lives of the American people. Do what it takes. It's that straightforward. Joining us tonight, Mark Morgan. He's former U.S. Border Patrol chief under President Obama. It is great to have you with us, Mark. This is a stunning thing to watch a CPB commissioner call on Congress for help. He's sitting there as the commissioner of the agency responsible for protecting the border, and he is trying to explain that he's being overrun. And the Department of Homeland Security is talking about volunteers to back up the border forces. This is an embarrassment. I mean, it is an outright surrender by DHS, isn't it?
Well, Lou, I have a little bit different perspective. What I will agree 100% is we are here. Make no mistake. Our border, it's a national emergency for one reason, because Congress has failed to do their job to protect our borders and to protect this country. That's why we're here. Now, let's go to what's actually happening. The commissioner said it this week at CBP. He said, hey, we only have so much space, 4,000 capacity, 6,000 is a crisis. We have 13,000 right now. There's no more room at the end. There's nowhere for them to go. And because of the broken asylum laws and bad judicial precedent like Flores, it's actually law, Lou, that DHS has to release these individuals. If you're a minor or you're a family member attached to a minor, they have no choice, Lou. They have to release them into the interior United States. They don't have a choice.
Let's start with a couple of things there, it seems to me. And to me, this is not a matter of perspective. This is a matter of national security. It's a national emergency crisis, and the president has put forward a declaration of national emergency and has the powers, by the way, to obviate all that you have just described. He has the authority. He has no authority for this nation to commit suicide, which is what is the effect of this hodgepodge of laws, first. Secondly, calls up Manuel Lopez Obrador, the president of Mexico, and says, our forces are going to be 100 feet inside your border. I want your permission and your agreement to do that, and I want it now. And that is where we would start. There would be none of this nonsense about stepping onto American soil. And you and I both know that a big game is being played here. The president isn't the one playing the game, but DHS is. Putting all of those forces into the ports of entry is suicidal. Those agents should be out on those frontiers between those ports of entry, because that's where the illegal immigration is occurring principally, and the transport of deadly drugs by the tons. Correct?
Lou, absolutely, 100%. Okay. Everything you just said. Let's stop the individuals from entering our country.
Absolutely.
Stop them, make them wait in Mexico for their asylum claims, which, by the way, we know 85% are false, right? That's where we have to start. We cannot allow them anymore to enter our country. Right now, with the numbers, we're looking at 1 million. Lou, at 65% are family. That means we're going to let 650,000 people into the interior of our United States, never to be heard from again. That's absurd. It has to stop. Stop them at the border. Don't let them in.
And for the DHS secretary to talk about we're being overrun at the border, think what that means for Immigration and Customs Enforcement and that agency with its limited resources and manpower in the interior of the country, trying to contend with all of those people being released to the streets. The stories in the Yuma sector right now. The idea, the temerity of the head of DHS to allow that to happen, it's ignorance. The only can-do attitude is on the side of the cartels. We have a bunch of bureaucrats walking around in green uniforms who are absolutely, I'm talking about the leadership of the Border Patrol, who are absolute morons. They are sitting there waiting for orders, waiting for somebody to hand them a solution. If this is what we've come to, if the quality of people in leadership in DHS, from the secretary of the department on down, I mean, let's, just literally put out welcome wagons, pile them high, because, we're just going to consign tens of thousands, perhaps millions of Americans to their deaths.
So Lou, what I would say, though, is, look, I know the leaders in the Border Patrol, and I can tell you they're furious. This is not what they want to do, Lou.
Then stand up. Dan, I am so sick of bureaucrats being told how great they are, when in point of fact, they have to say at some point, my God, we've got to stop this. And instead, we have got a secretary of DHS saying, we need to go to Congress. We've got a CPB commissioner saying, we've got to have congressional help. They're damn fools. The Congress of the United States, over successive Congresses and successive presidents, Republican and Democrat, have created this mess. It's time now to deal with it.
So I agree, Lou, but the men and women of Border Patrol, they do have to take their orders from the secretary, so they do have to get authorization to do what they want to do, and they know
then the president needs to fire her, because she is nothing but a roadblock on creativity, innovation, adaptiveness, and responding to the situation we have instead of the one that she apparently wants to dream about. I don't know. She is absolutely overwhelmed. She's paralyzed. Her department is paralyzed. This president has said it's a national emergency, and I'll be damned if he's not right.
Well, he's absolutely right. This is now an emergency. And I do believe that there are things that can be done. Like you said, stop them from coming to Mexico, push forward assets. I call them port courts. Push forward, set up tent cities, push all the immigration law judges forward, all the assets you need to do the administration
and if that
hearings
Marine general that says that this is a problem for his command is still in his job, in his office, there's something wrong. Saying that he doesn't want to help in a national emergency because it might jeopardize training on a distant foreign exercise. I mean, that is the height of stupidity. And by the way, rank insubordination. Mark, I think we have a real crisis here that transcends the